The distribution part of a food system involves all the ways that food moves from where it's produced or processed to the consumer. Several challenges exist in the region's food system distribution element. Chief among them is the lack or aging of infrastructure and also the inequity of food access points. One of the biggest obstacles in the movement of food, especially food grown in the southwestern area of Western New York, is the inefficient means to collect food from small farms and then move it to hubs or distribution centers.
I'm Dave Walzak, the sales, or can we start again, sorry. Dave Walzak, the operations manager for Eden Valley Growers. Eden Valley Growers was formed back in 1956, and basically there was a group of 30 or so farmers in the Eden, Hamburg, Brant area. All went to the market, Buffalo market on their own. Friends, neighbors, family. Decided that one grower is really good at growing peppers, one's really good at growing cukes, one's good at growing corn, so forth. And they decided, well, let's see if we can get a marketing company together that would sell our goods for us and make our jobs a little bit easier. We're now 10 members instead of the 30 so members back then, but we're farming many more acres, 2,000 plus acres, more efficiently, getting a lot more packages out of the acre because of the methods that they use and such. Any box that comes in would be considered a package. So 100,000 packages back in 1956 has increased to over 600,000 packages now. About 40% of it stays in the Western New York area, and the remaining, there's probably 20% or so that go to other parts of New York State, including New York City, and the remaining will be shipped out of the area. We go down to South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. We're sales, we're marketing, we're distribution, we're cooling. We're the guys that are making it go to the places it needs to go and making sure our growers are getting paid what they need to get paid. Up here in the Northeast, we're competing against all the states around us. And when you're competing against states that aren't on the same level maybe as you are with some of their costs and inputs and labor, it can be pretty demanding, pretty hard sometimes. We employ, out of all of our farms, over 500, 600 people. Unfortunately, the labor here in New York State, they've already changed our laws as far as what our workers can work. There's a 60, after they hit 60 hours now in New York State, they do get paid overtime. The states around us don't have that same limitation. There's being more push to change that even further to 50 hours or 40 hours, and it is gradually going that way over the next 10 years. I think if that's the direction we're going, it has to be more on a federal side. So that would mean all the states around us would have that same limitation, and that puts the playing field more even. You know, it's difficult without that playing field being even. You know, going into this season, things have increased exponentially. Fertilizer costs are up 50%. Our containers that we pack in are up 35 to 40%. Field plastics are up 25 to 30%. So there's consumers, at least after COVID, post-COVID, they don't like people touching their stuff as much. So the retailers are asking us to do more packaging and more value-added items. Freight, fuel, anything that goes into any supply or anybody supplying product to the general public and not so general public. I mean, it's become very difficult for everybody. Yeah. It might seem, that product or food is expensive right now, but believe me, it's not us raising the expenses. It's the result of what's going into growing that product that's raising the expense. If peppers are $10 everywhere else and we want to be 15, we're not going to sell peppers. As much as everybody wants to support local and they want, support their local farmer, they're going to say, yeah, I really want your stuff, but I can get it here for $10. And, they're really not that far away either. They're only 200 miles away or 150 miles away. So it's all market driven.
What are you proudest of when it comes to the co-op?
It's always where I get choked up. I'm proud of our grower organization, just because the hard work that they do goes to people that are, looking for local. And I knowing that the same product that I'm eating, that I'm putting on my family's table, and that my kids, they go to school and say, my dad is a farmer. I don't know why I get so choked up, and we don't put this in there, or parts of it, whatever. It's like I'm working for my family, and knowing that I'm doing good.
It's nice to see that you're passionate about it.
It's the passion, yeah.
More and more of the food that we consume tends to be provided by remote producers that utilize a vast and expansive distribution network. So we often hear the term food miles, which is the tally of the distance a food product has traveled to reach a consumer at its point of consumption.
Food is traveling so far. I have one example I like to give is we're in New York. And Oregon. New York and Oregon are the two largest apple producing states in the country. And New York sends apples to Oregon, and Oregon sends apples to New York. That is a very large problem to me in our country, in the world. We need to get back to a local food system and stop wasting our natural resources, our fuels, on transporting products that are produced right here.
In the U.S., the average distance a processed product travels to the consumer is 1,300 miles. For fresh produce, it's 1,500 miles. The effort, energy, and cost of distributing food in the global food system far outweighs that of sourcing our food locally, not to mention the fact that localized food systems primarily benefit local economies.
Farm in Allegheny, New York. I've transitioned from a business job to farming 22 years ago when I was told that I was too concerned about customers' needs. We are vegetable producers. We produce over 45 different vegetables. We do this year-round using season extension, and we also market our product direct to the consumer. As the years have gone by, we have found that we cover our costs, and that's about it. Most of our infrastructure is gotten through grants and donations. So we are breaking even. How long this will take place, it's hard to say.
I use 2 a day between my wife and me. I get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, I gotta have something good to eat.
We have been able to get a good workforce. We could always use more, but it takes a special kind of person to do this type of work. And that's what we have here. They fully understand the intrinsic rewards of doing a hard day's labor.
Wonderful. All right, dear. Good.
And we always like to experiment with crops. We do evaluate them at the end of the season, see if they were profitable or not, and if there's a demand for them. We have a farm stand in a local farmers market that we distribute at only 2 days out of the week. The thing I'm most proud of with this farm is the difference that we've made in our community. Through feeding people, through just associating with the community, through the people who've worked here, we've touched many lives. We don't need to feed people in Buffalo or Rochester. I'm interested in our community and feeding our community. So I think the fact that we've made a difference in this community is the biggest thing I'm proud of. There's a lot of uncontrollable factors out there. If I spend all my time worrying about those uncontrollable factors, I'm gonna drive myself crazy. So I control what I can. Why are we entrusting other countries with our food supply? We should be producing our own food. We shouldn't be depending upon other countries to be feeding us. As far as regulations, it has really hampered us because we are small scale, direct to the consumer. We're not selling to grocery stores. We're not selling to institutions. We're selling to the people who are consuming the food. Farmers have a hard enough time producing the product. Most of them don't want to take it to the market and do the full 9 yards. We happen to. We need someone to pull farmers together, to pull marketplaces together, educate the consumer to create demand. Oh, if I had to do this all over again, I probably would have started a little bit earlier than 37. So that's my only regret.
Repeatedly hearing about problems with the different parts of the food system has caused many people to become desensitized to the issues, while even more have resigned themselves to thinking that nothing can be done about any of it anyway. So why bother? But that sort of indifference usually comes from people who believe that these problems have no real-world consequences for them. They are healthy, happy, and well-fed, so they tune it all out. But there is a cost to turning a blind eye. And the COVID-19 pandemic made us painfully aware of that reality. Because we have started depending so heavily on a global food system, we can all succumb to its malfunctions at any time. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, there's enough food being produced on the planet to feed 10 billion people. So why then do we have over 828 million people going hungry when the world population just hit 8 billion in 2022? The logical conclusion is that problems with distribution is keeping a lot of the food being produced from getting into the hands of many consumers. And that is mostly true, but it's a bit more complicated than that. The fact is, the most harmful disruptions to distribution, like labor shortages, the increased cost of inputs, failing infrastructure, and poor storage, are actually side effects of ineffective policies from lawmakers who have been out of touch with producers for far too long. Even the biggest drivers of hunger, like war and conflict and poverty, can be traced back to failed policies. So it's only natural to conclude that to effect the biggest changes, we need to start at the top. The next episode in this series will address issues with the part of the food system that lets us know if all our efforts are making a difference. So please join us again when we shine a light on consumption.